Hello and welcome to the After Hours Lounge. Pull up a chair. We are always open for business. Got a good show for you here on a Monday. Jimmy Allen, noticeably absent. He is on his way to the Magic Kingdom with his lovely wife and family. So we wish them a wonderful vacation. And that means you get the John and Dan experience here on a Monday. Brody Heidemann is on the ones and twos. Dan Campanen moves over a chair onto the other side of the desk here for our Monday show. Let's give you the rundown what we're going to get to here tonight. At 6:15, we're talking about the quarterback situation in the Big Ten. The Athletic had a great article about that exact topic today, and it brought up some questions for me. We'll get to that kind of at 6:15. 6:30, it's NFL Draft Week, so you're going to have a whole bunch of draft coverage this week from us. Tonight, we're going to kick it off with telling you what we want to happen in the draft for our favorite NFL teams, mine, Dan's, and Brody's. Coming up at 6:45, Brody's got a social media soundbite. At 7, we let the young man, Brody Heidemann, write our buy or sell questions.
Yeah.
I have no idea where this is going to go. I have not seen them. Dan hasn't seen them. This is going to be fun.
And that's the way we like it.
7:15, we'll talk a little NHL. And then at 7:30, another Athletic article that I found over the weekend, they listed the teams who had drafted the best over the past 5 years. But what I took out of that was each team's worst pick over the last 5 years. And it brought up some interesting things. So a little analysis on that. Who were the worst picks for each team over the last 5 years? Yes, more NFL draft coverage. Then at 7:45, we'll close things out with our trash takes of the night. But first up, we're going to talk about the Matt Rhule presser last Thursday. Now, I know you guys talked a little bit about this on the Thursday show. I was not here for that, and I had some thoughts, and I have some questions as well. So,
okay.
So I'm sure you're all prepared. You're prepared. I'm sure you talked about this on Thursday.
Well, if I had read the lineup a little bit closer before we started, I would have grabbed all my notes that I had.
The first thing that stuck out to me when Matt Rhule was talking about his opening statement about the punter who transferred out, and then he's talking about Lee Corso. Did you catch the little humble, sly brag in there?
I didn't.
No, he says he's talking about Lee Corso's retirement, and he says, well, we expect that they'll be here at some point this year, so we're going to miss Lee Corso.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that one.
And that was like a little shot in there of like, yeah, we're going to be on game day. Like game day is going to be at Nebraska at some point this year. And I just thought, like, are we taking it too far? Like, I know we love the confidence from Matt Rhule. We love how he kind of lays it out, his vision, how he sees it, how he thinks it's going to go, how he thinks it should go. This to me was just like, unless he knows something that we don't know, and that there are already plans in the works for them to be there at some point during the season.
I would assume that he maybe does know something that we don't know. But to take it back to your original question, I love the confidence. I'm glad that Matt Rhule at least has the confidence to say, like, yeah, you know what? We expect game day to be here this year. And we expect it, for them to be here for us and not for the other team on the other side.
True.
Because that was the trouble last year when they showed up for Indiana. We were like, we're going to be on College game day. And it's like, yeah, but it's not. It's not for us.
Yeah. I don't know if a lot of people caught it. I think it slipped under the radar a little bit because I didn't really see anyone mentioning it.
Oh, no, it definitely slipped under the radar.
Yeah.
But we didn't even talk about it on Thursday last week.
It struck a chord with me, and it just felt a little bit like, hold your horses, Matt. Like, let's just calm down a minute. Okay. I know that you got this team to a bowl game last year, but you were 500 when you did so. Like, game day doesn't typically show up for teams that are 500. They'd rather go to watch North Dakota State and North Dakota, than go to a team who's barely hanging on. Like, we need to just chill a little bit. It felt like a little bit of a too big for your britches moment to me.
I don't know. So when I said to Matt Rule to his face, I've been predicting you guys to go 10-2 for a couple of years now. And he goes, the sparkle in his eye when he could tell someone, well, we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. And kind of like keeps the sparkle and says, this year. Got me excited. And I was like,
Yeah.
but this is a man who has supreme confidence in himself and in his team. So I don't think it's crazy for him to be like, oh yeah, we're going to have game day here, especially because we do get Michigan at home this year. And I think at that point, it'll be early enough in the season that both teams will be pretty formidable.
Exactly.
And our record should be good enough. I do think that there's a Texas game that weekend that is of better repute, but you never know.
I mean, Nebraska, Michigan in the middle. I think it's October?
It's early October.
It's early October. Come on. Come to Nebraska.
The other thing that I started to think about was it's such a departure from what we normally hear from him specifically. Yes, he's very confident. Yes, he's very complimentary of his players. He talks about how demanding they are and how they want excellence and they are attention to detail is the most important thing. And that's one thing. But I don't know that we've ever heard him go to like, oh no, we're going to be that good. Like, count on it. We're expecting that game day is going to be here. Like, it's going to happen. So we're going to miss Lee Corso when he doesn't come to Nebraska. Like, that feels like such a departure from, John Butler not wanting to talk about individuals whatsoever and not wanting to give anybody any compliments individually.
Yeah.
And then for Matt Rule to step up there and say like, oh, get ready for college game day because it's coming and Lee Corso won't be there. Like that feels so different to me. There's a gulf between those two things, and it's not the Gulf of America. It's like it is a wide chasm between. Well, they're doing good things. We don't want to talk about them individually. To yes, we're going to be the biggest show on national TV. Like that like something doesn't match up there for me, and I don't know what it is exactly. I can't like really put my finger on it, but it felt like a major departure from what we normally hear from him.
Well, yeah, because Matt Rule's usually a pretty cool customer
Yeah.
when it comes to talking about literally anything. He doesn't really want. He understands that he is the center of attention, but he never calls it upon himself for the most part.
I would say that's accurate. Yes. He prefers to but he's not afraid of the spotlight either. He's not afraid to get up there and talk in front of the camera or at the podium and give you the straight dope too. Like he'll tell it as near to the truth as he knows it to be. That's what I believe about him. The other thing in talking about they were talking about the punter, and he said, and someone asked him, I forget which reporter it was, what are you going to do now to bring in this rugby style punter? When is this going to happen? And he said, we'll bring someone in the summer.
Yep.
Which again was like alarm bells for me. It's like, you mean to tell me we're going into fall camp without a number one punter?
Well, so this is where I think stuff gets interesting, John, because the punter that we are, I shouldn't say moving on from, but in a sense, we're moving on from him.
Told him that he wasn't going to be able to do what they wanted him to do.
That same day that they made that decision, the kid from Boise State he declared himself to be in the portal. So I think that was a little bit of slick thinking on Matt Rule's part, but it looked to me like he was coming in for a visit and that they were trying to lock down this kid from Boise State as well. So it does freak me out a little bit that he says summer, that's when we're going to have someone.
Could we be looking overseas possibly? I don't know. I know
you want an Aussie punter.
That's what I'm thinking.
What saying,
get the Australian punter, a true rugby style punter.
Put another shrimp on the Barbie for Brody.
Come on.
It's also a thing though that I think he knows, and that everyone who follows college football knows, that all of these guys who are coming in through the portal, no matter what, they technically have to finish out their academic year. Yeah. So there's no way they're going to be on campus until May, June, July, August anyway.
Tommy in the night shift says that's Maddie's way of saying we have the bag for the punter that we want. I don't know. I guess you could read it that way. It's more of a concern for me, though. I mean, especially given the special teams woes that Nebraska's had in recent memory of how bad they've been, punters kicking the wrong direction and giving up big plays, Michigan State. And like to not have that guy in spring ball to go through all that stuff. And like you're gonna get him on campus in the summer, but camp doesn't open until August. So then what? Then you've got 5 weeks to get this guy up to speed with the entire operation for special teams. And maybe it's not as hard for a punter. He's just got to go kick the ball. I mean, maybe that's the case. Maybe I'm overshooting it a little bit, but it's still like, dude, special teams has been a problem. And now you're going to go into the season, into fall camp without the guy.
It's not a crazy thing to have a worry about though, John, because that would give you, I don't know, roughly like what fall camp's like 6-ish weeks long, basically. So that gives you 6 weeks to, in all honesty, implement a brand new special team scheme and an entirely new blocking scheme. Because if Eckler truly wants to have a rugby style punter, you have to give that guy 5 seconds in the backfield. After that ball is snapped, you need a good 5 seconds for him to get the ball off. Because they got to do that silly 1, 2, 3 drop step punt that they always do.
Yeah, I just when he said that, I was like, "Well, what? What do you mean summer? Summer like this summer? We're gonna have a new punter this summer? I don't
maybe
like
his calendar's different. Maybe May is summer.
That's what I was gonna say. Maybe May, the first day that, because I think classes get out in Lincoln. What is it, like May 10th, May 7th? So maybe that is summer. Maybe that is summer for him.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's concerning to me nonetheless. He said that he asks people to come and watch practice, high school coaches, recruits.
Yep.
And then he asks them if they can tell the difference between the starters and the walk-ons based on the way they're treated, and nobody can. And I think like this is, if that's all true, if it's not just like marketing material, if that's all true, this is the program that Nebraska should be. This is the thing that we as fans from the blue collar heart of the Midwest, this is the thing that we've all been asking for, right? Is that there are no favorites. There is no golden child. Everybody, it's like what's the movie? The Chronicles of Riddick. You keep what you kill. Remember that?
Sure.
You earn your spot. You win your own position. And it doesn't matter if you're a 5-star or a walk-on. It doesn't matter if you're from Florida or Ontario. Like, it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that was the point that he was illustrating with Jacob Bauer as well.
Yeah, great story. Love that video.
Yeah, and that was pretty obviously like, you got to give it to him. He knows how to weave a story in and be like, this is why we're doing it this way. But the Jacob Bauer thing is the exact point that I think Matt Rhule is trying to make, is that Nebraska is still a program where, yes, we are trying to go out and recruit the greatest 5-star talents that we can possibly get and put into our back pocket.
For sure.
But at the same time, if we find, old Dusty Mayhew from O'Neill, Nebraska, who's like
apologies to Dusty Mayhew from O'Neill, Nebraska,
6'6" and 350 pounds and can run a 4.40. Oh. This is a literal dream player.
Yeah, this is.
If we found that guy,
creating a player on Madden? Is that what we're doing?
It's an 18-year-old high school kid out in O'Neill, Nebraska. He weighs 350 pounds, runs a 4.40.
That guy is a 5-star, and he's recruited by everyone in the country. He's not a walk-on.
His name is Carter Nelson.
Maybe he is. Maybe he's not. Who knows?
No, I just feel like, that sort of attitude and those optics are what will tide you over if you don't get as many wins as you want, right? If the program seems to be doing things the right way, if they're building it consistently, if it doesn't feel like we're just throwing things at the wall to see what sticks,
Yeah.
that will help ease the mind of the Nebraska fan. That will calm the nerves a little bit because there's a clear plan and you can actually see it. And you can say, okay, like that guy isn't just playing because he was promised playing time as a recruiting pitch. He's playing because he's the best they've got at that position. And that was something that in the past, I don't think we saw all the time. I think we saw a lot of guys who played because of who they were and where they were from and what they were promised, and not because they were the best player at their position, which is maddening to watch.
Yeah, at times. I think that was definitely a thing. I mean, I'm happy with the way that he talks about what they're doing with the program, especially with the high school coach thing, because he used that to kind of bring in the fact that, you know, a lot of these guys that are getting offered by Iowa State and are getting offered by, you know, the programs that are near here and don't necessarily have an offer from Nebraska yet. He's like, I know who all these guys are and I want to offer them by the time they're a senior in high school, not when they're a sophomore who's barely played a down of worthwhile varsity football in high school.
He said it twice. Desperate teams set the market.
He does not want that to be Nebraska anymore.
Not.
Yeah.
Because we've been the desperate team for a long time.
Yeah.
And the last point that I want to hit before we get to break is it relates to an argument that Jimmy and I had a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Dylan Raiola running the ball. And Matt Rule said in this press conference, you have to make a choice. Do you want to be healthy or do you want to be good?
Ooh, yep.
And this was my exact argument.
I remember this argument.
This was my side of that argument. Do you want to be healthy or do you want to be good? Do you want to do the things that it takes to win or do you want to protect yourself from injury?
Mm-hmm.
And it's clear that Matt Rule lives on one side of that fence absolutely and completely. You cannot coach from a place of fear. You have to do the things required of you to get wins. And sometimes that means having full contact practices. Sometimes that means getting people injured because you're going so hard in practice. Not stupid. You're not doing it irresponsibly, but being physical in practice, yeah, you're going to have injuries. It's going to happen. And he talks about how even in the NFL, you got a $60 million a year quarterback.
Yeah.
He's playing in preseason.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that guy gets hurt, but do you want to be healthy or do you want to be good?
Well,
and that's the question.
What's the old adage in that you always hear football coaches and football players say? They're like, are you hurt or are you injured?
Yeah.
It's like, if you're hurt, you can go out and play. If you're injured, you can't. There's a big difference between hurt and injured. You tear an ACL, you're injured.
Yeah.
You get a bruise on your knee, you're hurt.
Send him on out there.
Unless you're Tyson Terry, then you win a state championship as a heavyweight.
True.
Yeah. Well, different breed.
All right. Those are the things I saw from the presser that stood out to me that I didn't get to talk to because I wasn't here on Thursday. If you got thoughts, you can always give us a call or join in on the chat on YouTube. We call them the Night Shift. Tommy and Captain, they've been active. We love those guys in our chat. And if you missed this segment, you can always check it out on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620, brought to you by Allo Fiber. Allo goes beyond internet, bringing you fast and reliable speeds with an all-fiber network. Don't get stuck in the Stone Age. You remember dial-up? Don't do that anymore. Get the fastest. Go above and beyond with Allo. Head over to allofiber.com. Get yourself into the modern age of the internet. Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here for Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. Jerry Ryan, they got you covered for golf season. You know you need some new gear. Yeah, you do. Your polos are old and ratty. They're not looking like, well, they probably look a lot like your game if you're me, but you can look a little better than your game, in fact. The new Roan line of golf wear at Jerry Ryan is absolutely gorgeous. It feels great. You're going to love putting it on. You're going to love the designs, and your buddies are going to be instantly jealous. Hey, you might look so good it'll throw them off in that skins game at your local club. You could come out winning a few bucks if you get that new Roan golf gear. Plus, as always, the discount rack at Jerry Ryan. Great values on Creighton gear, men's and women's both. You got to get yourself to 78th and Dodge and get on that new Roan golf gear. The pants, the shirts, whatever you need, they got it for you. Check them out at 78th and Dodge. Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear, dress in Omaha for over 50 years. John Schreiner, Dan Camden, back here with you on After Hours on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. Do you like going to class on Friday? If the answer is no, you need to check out Bellevue University. You can do most of your classes online as well. There'll be a Bruin today. Well, we're talking about the quarterback situation in the Big Ten, and the Athletic did a great job of breaking down the situation for all the teams in the Big Ten. And there are some notables who really stick out with some interesting situations. And the obvious number one is UCLA, right? We just got the news of the back and forth transfer. Nico Iamaleava has now signed with UCLA, and the former quarterback Joey Aguilar has now transferred to Tennessee after he transferred from Appalachian State to UCLA, now to Tennessee. So a lot of people are calling it the first ever trade in college football.
Yep.
But the UCLA situation and now the Tennessee situation are going to be very interesting to watch, because like Nico was already going to be the starter at UCLA, even with Aguilar there. But now with him gone, it's like, okay, they don't have anyone else to challenge him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well,
like, does UCLA with the addition of Nico become a contender? I don't necessarily think so. Just because the rest of that roster I don't think is good enough, but it certainly makes him interesting, right? Like with that kind of quarterback, if he plays up to that level, they could jump up and bite somebody.
Yeah, it's one of those that I think it's still a bit of lipstick on a pig in the overall, but
good way to put it.
I think you can't really knock the fact that like Nico is a very good quarterback. He definitely is coming into his own and understands his power within an offense. I think we saw that from Tennessee last year. And that like UCLA is not a total scrub team. Like they're able to recruit some decent talent.
Yeah.
They should have beaten USC at the end of the year last year.
Yeah.
And I think Nico brings them to another level, but that level is not elite yet.
And they don't have
could be one day.
Don't have the skill positions, and they don't have the necessary things to get them to that point that a team like Tennessee had last year. And they lost some of their best players this season. I think it's Studevant. There you go. That's how you say his last name. He left them. They had another guy. I think it was their tight end that left them. So they're kind of losing some guys. And I don't know. I can't see UCLA getting to the top of the Big Ten.
The schedule for UCLA, they play Penn State, they play Indiana, they play Nebraska, they play Ohio State, and like the last three, Ohio State, Washington, USC. I think they better have 6 wins before they get to those last three if they're going to have any hope of going to a bowl game. Honestly, even with Nico, like Washington, Jed Fish, you believe in him? I kind of do. I don't know. UCLA is going to be fascinating this season. Like I didn't really care about UCLA entering the Big Ten. Didn't really care about them last year very much. I might care about watching UCLA this year. Like it's just an intriguing storyline that I'm interested to see what happens. I don't think they're going to be very good. Like I don't think that they're probably going to make a bowl game. Their non-con is Utah, UNLV, and New Mexico.
Yeah.
I think they got to win all 3 of those, honestly. Because then it's at Northwestern, Penn State at home, at Michigan State, Maryland at home, at Indiana, Nebraska at home, at Ohio State, Washington at home, at USC.
Ooh, yeah. Not good.
Yeah.
If they don't win all 3 of their non-con games, like I don't know.
That's going to be...
It's going to be tough for them to get to 6. And if they don't get to 6... Nico may be on the move again. Like they might this might be a 1-year rental.
It wouldn't surprise me. And
especially if he plays well.
What worries me the most is 2 out of those 3 non-con games that they have are pretty easy bite you in the butt games.
They get Utah at home.
Yeah. Utah's a very good team.
Always.
They'll be sure to jump up and bite you. UNLV is last season they had quite a bit of success, and they're pretty excited about said success.
Dan Mullen.
And I've got a good feeling that UNLV is going to be that team that could surprise them.
Mhm.
And then New Mexico, you just never know.
Yeah, it's New Mexico.
Yeah, it's not old
They-
Mexico. It's
yeah,
New Mexico.
They
Could be better.
find a way sometimes.
Like then you go down the list, like Penn State, we know who that's going to be. Illinois, Luke Altmaier.
Surprisingly, I thought Aller would have
Yeah.
walked out of there like a
Uh-huh.
normal person.
Nebraska, we've talked enough about Dylan Raiola.
Who?
Really?
Never heard of him.
No,
Aiden Childs at Michigan State.
that's a
Ethan Kalik-Manis is going to be the starter at Rutgers.
Good luck.
And then you get into the tier where there's some new starters. And as much as I don't want to say it, the Iowa quarterback situation this year is fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is like you have the FCS Player of the Year in Mark Gronowski, who in his career for South Dakota State threw for 10,000 plus yards, 93 touchdowns to 20 interceptions, and ran for over 1,700 yards in 4 seasons. Like, he was a legit quarterback. Like,
Mhm.
no doubt. Like, this guy could make it at the full D1 level. And now he's at Iowa, where, like, are they going to be able to use him to his full potential? Is that offense going to suit what he can do? Are they going to adapt the offense a little bit to what Gronowski can do? Like, this story is amazing to me.
Oh.
Like, because normally the recipe to be an Iowa quarterback is just don't screw it up.
Yeah.
which
Like don't screw it up, which they have not been able to find.
exactly.
They haven't been able to find the guy who can just simply not screw it up.
Well, and with a guy like Gronowski who can throw the ball as well as he can, and then obviously is going to very much be I've gone through my 3 reads. I see the trouble coming. Haul
Goodbye.
butt towards the sideline as
Goodbye.
fast as I possibly can. I have a feeling that he's going to be okay. And he's got the, FCS level big game success that you want to see out of a quarterback of that level. And I mean, sometimes it's not great in North Dakota and South Dakota State. And sometimes the athletes that come out of there are some of the most amazing people you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And people go, wow, I can't believe between these 2 states and these 2 schools,
Are you talking about Tim Dwight?
talking about Tim Dwight, I'm talking about Trey Lance, talking about that big old redhead that came out, Carson.
Carson
I mean,
Wentz.
hey,
You could have been so beautiful.
Tim Dwight played for Iowa. He was like the super punt returner of the late 90s
Mhm.
or mid 90s.
the only thing a little bit concerning is the surgery he had on his shoulder. And shoulder surgery, I mean, it's not an ACL, but it's
Yeah,
still, as a
it's-
quarterback, it's still something to watch before a season.
It's really interesting.
And I mean, maybe it's nothing, and maybe he's going to be fully healthy by the time they play game 1. But still, it's something to watch before game 1. But also, it could just be nothing.
I mean, the question is, will Mark Gronowski overcome Iowa, or will Iowa overcome Mark Gronowski?
It's a great way to put it.
Yep.
And that's a big question to answer. And look, it's a story to follow. It's going to be fun.
To be fair, Iowa will win 10 games again.
Probably.
Yeah,
They'll be a 10-win team, and they'll be the
Maybe.
worst possible 10-win team in the country.
and they lose Caleb Johnson.
It's the same thing that happens to them every year, though.
Yeah, they lose a running back.
We're like, what's Iowa going to do? How are they
Mhm.
ever going to figure this out? How are they going to coach themselves out of this hole? And it's like, what hole? The 9-10 win hole that they're in every single season for some random reason.
Yeah,
I never
it's not
understood
fun to watch, but it's effective. Indiana was the surprise team of all of college football last year. I was not a believer, very famously on this show.
Yep.
Didn't believe in Indiana. But they're going to do another sort of reclamation project, and not really a reclamation project. It's just taking a guy who the country doesn't really know much about and putting him center stage and seeing what he can do. They did it last year with
Mhm.
Curtis Rourke, who, look, he played really well. He was really good for most of the season. They're doing it this year by bringing in the Cal quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, who was, he took them to a bowl game, threw for over 3,000 yards. So we'll see how he fares in this, fast-paced, short passing Indiana offense. It made Curtis Rourke into a star. Like he was being talked about for Heisman.
Yep.
At one point during the season.
I don't know. In Mendoza's time at Cal, it was good. There were flashes of great all throughout there. And it, can't be understated that there's the first season in the ACC. You've got the horrendous amount of travel that you have to do being a
Crazy.
West Coast school playing in an East Coast conference.
Yep.
And still got him to a bowl game and completed like 68, 69% of his passes through the 11 games that he played. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Kurt Signetti can do with that.
It'll be interesting to see what
Everyone's going to be
what Indiana looks
keyed
like
in on him this year.
now that we how we see the conference adapt to Indiana now that they have a year's worth of tape on them as well. That'll be the other
Good
thing.
point.
Wisconsin, I don't care.
Dumpster fire.
Ooh. Ugh.
For the record, it's Billy Edwards. Super
But-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke
Yeah.
Fickle's still their coach.
It doesn't
So,
Somehow.
It doesn't. It
dumpster
just
fire.
doesn't
What
matter.
do we get?
to
How many
me.
weeks we giving him? What's the if this dumpster fire continues, how many weeks we give him?
Fickle or the quarterback?
Fickle.
What's the I haven't looked at the Wisconsin schedule. What does it look like?
I don't think it's. I can't. I have a.
I
for
give
some reason I don't think.
so.
it's
I
very
give Fickle the
favorable.
full season.
I don't think
Wow.
they'll fire him midseason.
Yeah, that's not the way that Wisconsin operates
True.
as a program.
Yeah.
They're really
So-
big into the we believe you, we trust you, but then behind closed doors they'll be like, you're hitting shit down.
Wisconsin's non-con is Miami of Ohio at home, Middle Tennessee at home. Then
Yep.
they go
I
to
forgot.
Tuscaloosa.
I forgot that's the game.
Oh,
They play at
Yeah,
Alabama.
and you remember happened last year.
yippee!
Then they get Maryland at home, go to Michigan, Iowa at home, Ohio State at home, at Oregon, Washington at home, at Indiana, Illinois at home, and finish the season at Minnesota. So,
Ugh.
I mean,
I-
Oregon's tough. Ohio State's tough. Michigan will be tough. Iowa will be tough. Alabama will be tough. I think if they lose 4 games, if they lose those 4 games and win the rest, if they go 8-4,
oh, well, yes.
wild success.
Yeah.
Mhm.
6-6. It feels like a 6-6 type of
it kinda
schedule
does.
for
It does,
Wisconsin,
yeah.
especially bringing in a new quarterback. The guy from Maryland. Wisconsin has made me not care about them anymore. I used to watch what Wisconsin was doing because they were always the thorn in Nebraska's side, and I just feel like I'm not scared of Wisconsin anymore.
No, they've completely changed.
Yeah.
Now that Luke Fickle's there and Barry Alvarez isn't their coach anymore, there's a different tenor to the way that they play football.
I like
and
how you
it's-
called Barry Alvarez the coach.
Was Barry Alvarez their
He
coach?
was the athletic director.
It feels
He
like
was the
Barry Alvarez
coach.
was their coach.
He was, yeah.
It always kind of
That's why
still
it's
feels
funny.
like Barry's got a thumbprint.
Yeah,
in the
that's why it's
program.
funny. Yes.
Mainly because every time something goes wrong at Wisconsin, they're like, "What does Barry Alvarez think about this?"
The last one I'll talk about is a situation that we thought we'd know by now. And the fact that we don't, I think, is telling. And it's the situation at Michigan.
Interesting. Okay.
When they brought in the 5-star freshman Bryce Underwood and paid all that money to get him on campus, I think it was just kind of understood that he was going to be the starter. And all indications are right now that he may not be.
yeah.
Senior Mikey Keene, the Fresno State transfer, is apparently pushing really hard for the starting job. And then a redshirt freshman, Jaden Davis, people are also saying like he has a lot of ability and could potentially be the starter as well. So it's like a 3-horse race at Michigan when
Mhm.
I think going into it, we felt like this was a done deal. Like hands washed, Bryce Underwood is your starter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not the indication we're getting, which makes it very interesting.
Well, what's funny is there's a rumor going around too in this athletic article and also in the Twitter sphere and on the Michigan message boards that they want to bring in a 4th quarterback through the transfer portal as well. That does not bode well.
That's not a
for
good.
Sharon Moore and
It's not a
company.
good sign. And you know what? Like I have been very critical of Sharon Moore, and I told you guys that I didn't think they were going to be good, and I don't think they're going to be good this year either. this isn't giving me any more confidence. The fact that you have the all-world 5-star and he's not the absolute clear-cut number one guy.
Yeah.
Eyebrows fully raised, my friend.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a weird. It's always weird what goes on at Michigan. Because I mean, let's be fair with the Dave Portnoy, Larry Ellison
Gross.
crap that
money.
happened with bragging about, oh, we got Bryce Underwood to sign because we backed up the Brinks truck to his front door and gave him as much money as he could ever want and hope for. They tried. That is actually when I think Michigan went a little bit off the rails for me, because you put the full court press on a guy who you should only be competing with technically one other school to try and get.
It's wild, man.
Are we just all going to forget in like the national media that Bryce Underwood is literally a backyard product?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He is like 15 miles away from the university campus, and they were like, we have to give this guy so much money or else he's never going to come to our school.
Well, he was
our
committed
school
somewhere
that's
else.
only 2 years removed from a national championship.
And one big head coach removed from that national championship as well.
True.
Yeah.
We got to get to break. If you missed this segment, you want to hear how we think the quarterback battles in the Big Ten might shake out, check out soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by Cunningham's Pub. You like wings? Hell yeah, you like wings. Get yourself to Cunningham's, especially that newest location in Blackstone with the great parking garage, same great food, same great brews on tap, same great atmosphere. You love food, you love beer, you need to get yourself to Cunningham's, and it's coming up Wing Wednesday. So be watching that social media to get yourself entered into the drawing for the $25 gift card. Cunningham's Pub. Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here for Bob at Williams Law. Bob will also be here on Wednesday to talk about the burning legal issues in the world of sports. And if there's a legal issue burning up your life right now, keeping you awake at night, you got questions, you don't know how to answer them, don't use ChatGPT. That thing can be wrong sometimes. Check out Bob Williams, WilliamsLawLLC.com. You're going to get a free initial, no obligation legal consultation with Bob, where he sits down, answers all those questions that are keeping your eyes wide open in the middle of the night. He's going to give you peace of mind. He's going to give you some great legal advice, get you ready for your day in court. Doesn't matter if you got a criminal case or a civil case, Bob will be in your corner, guiding you through what can be a very stressful time in your life. Don't trust it to the amateurs. Get a professional on your team. WilliamsLawLLC.com. Rocking our way through a Monday here on the After Hours Lounge. Brody Heidemann in the producer's chair today. Dan Campanen in the big chair on this side. It's not the big chair. It's Jimmy's chair. He's in Florida with his family, enjoying the sunshine, and he's probably got his Mickey Mouse ears on right now.
He definitely does.
Sipping on a Coca-Cola, having a cheeseburger, enjoying that Florida sun. So hope
Now you're
they're
making me hungry, John.
Yeah,
More
John.
on that later, by the way.
So we hope that Jimmy and Aaron and the girls have a great vacation. And Jimmy will be back next week. You get me and Dan all week this week. So if you don't like the John and Dan experience, buckle up, Buttercup, because it's coming your way 3 times this week.
If you don't like hockey, you better start.
We're brought to you by Bellevue University. Bellevue University, proud sponsor of After Hours. And if you are a young athlete looking for a place to call home, you want some great facilities. The new facilities at Bellevue are absolutely gorgeous. They got the golf simulator in there, great basketball programs, great programs all around men's and women's soccer, baseball, all of it. Check out BUBruins.com. All right. It's draft week. NFL draft begins on Thursday. Never had this discussion. Brody, maybe you're too young to remember, but do you remember when the draft was just Saturday and Sunday?
Yes, I do.
Did you like that better, or do you like this better with the prime time on Thursday?
Honest answer, I really like Saturday, Sunday better.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if as many people are as excited about the draft as like a casual fan is not as excited about the draft as your, NFL guy who truly loves it. And I know why they did it, because
Yeah.
ESPN got the rights and they were like, we can turn this into a, 4-day thing that's like long, and we have all of this TV time for it, and it's going to be great. We're going to love it. You're going to love it. This is how we're going to do the draft from now on. But when it was Saturday, Sunday, it was like real NFL heads could kind of dedicate an entire day to it.
Mhm.
And it just felt like it was a little bit
1, 2,
snappier.
3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. Like rounds 1, 2, and 3 on Saturday, 4, 5, 6, 7 on Sunday. And like being a day one guy, actually, like it meant less than it means now. If you're a
that's
day
true.
one guy,
Yeah.
you're your first rounder now. Like that's different. Yeah, I don't know. I think both have their merits. Like I do enjoy having the first round in prime time, and it being easy to find. Ovechkin just scored a goal. Caps lead. Thank you very much. We are watching hockey because it is Stanley Cup playoffs time, and you all know from last year, me hosting this show, I am an absolute homer for the Stanley Cup playoffs. It is my favorite postseason.
Whoa.
Like hands down, no
Whoa.
doubt about it. Stanley Cup playoffs are the best postseason in my opinion. Back to the NFL.
Means more.
I do like the prime time aspect of the Thursday, but I did enjoy it being on the weekend rather than when I have to go and do a show. But what we're doing here is a little exercise that I assigned to the boys this afternoon. Your favorite team. Me, Washington Commanders. Dan, Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
Brody,
Good old Rams.
the St. Louis Rams.
Hey, I mean, it's where I truly liked them.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do was get a sense of like us as fans, and you at home listening or in your car or wherever you are. If you're in the stream, we'll take your answers, Cap and Tommy, in the night shift. Your favorite team, where do you want them to go? Well, we're just talking first round. We're not going to do a full 7-round breakdown of this thing, but what do you want to see your team do in the draft? I think that, we read all of the projections and the team needs, and that sometimes can differ from what we as fans want to see our
Mhm.
team do, right?
Yeah.
So the difference there can be interesting, and I think this is it's a fun little thing we can do on draft week. And we'll have some more draftish topics to talk about as we go through the week until we get to that first round on Thursday. So anybody got first ideas?
I do.
All right, Dan.
Because experts would say that the Green Bay Packers need a receiver, a defensive tackle, and a cornerback. I would leave cornerback out of that. That is a 4, 5, 6, 7 pick that we can make. Because we've got the pretty tooly cornerback guys. It looks like our big dog, Jair Alexander, the number one receiver coverer, is coming back this year. Looks healthy. They just interviewed McKinney and said, hey, how's he looking? And we know you guys have been like broing down and working out together.
Yeah.
And he was like, John Money looks good. He's ready to go. He's more ready to go than he was last year. And allegedly his attitude has changed a little bit, which I can appreciate. But first round, I would like to see them go defensive tackle or edge. A man who's been kind of pinned on their draft board, I think, and has been pinned by the experts as well, is that Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean, before the season was maybe thought to be like a top 10 type of pick,
Yeah.
but it's fallen down some boards.
His combine was crazy too.
Yeah.
He was
His like 4.59 40-inch vertical.
Yeah.
Only problem with that is performed crazy good at the combine,
but
was not that good in college.
Yeah.
Right.
He never had more than 1.5 sacks. But that would be a very Packers pick.
Yeah.
Because outside of like Rashawn Gary, everyone who is on the line is someone that they have taken a chance on and have said they could be good. They've got all these like tools and they've got all these measurables. We just need to bring effort and what they can do on the line up to those
Sure.
measurables.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that is the nice thing with bringing in a rookie and having Rashawn Gary and a couple of those other guys who are on the D line for them right now and saying, you don't have to be the focal point. You're not the one that everyone's going to be keying in on the defense. I also would like them to draft Emeka Egbuka.
yeah.
If they're going wide
See-
receiver in the first round, if that is available, I will probably scream at my TV if Egbuka is still on the draft board
Yeah.
Mark
and
it
the
down.
Packers go anywhere else.
Thursday night at 8, or well, I don't know if the show will be on at that
It'll
point.
be at like 9:30.
Yeah, it'll probably be later in the day in the
We're,
night. But
we're pick 23 in the first round. That's
Okay.
going to be like a 9:30 thing.
you won't be here.
Brody, I need you to highlight a comment on the night shift here. And I think we need Tommy to call in and explain himself because he says his favorite team is the Cowboys and he wants Shador at 12.
Ooh.
I mean, I think that's a pretty pie in the sky want, Tommy, because I don't think Shador is going to be there at 12 unless like they might get Shador, but they're probably going to have to move ahead of the Saints to get him at 9, which is going to be costly. So I don't know, man. Adding a quarterback in the first round when you're paying Dak Prescott all that money,
Yeah.
unless you're planning on getting rid of him, I don't know. That the Cowboys.
What
gosh,
does Jerry say all the time? It's not always sunshine in that other thing.
Yeah, it seems like they need so much more than trying to address quarterback of the future at this point. And the Draftniks have them going wide receiver at 12.
I like that.
All right, I'll go next.
That's crazy too.
The Washington Commanders are picking 29th. Yes, that's right, 29th, because they were in the NFC Championship
Wow.
game last season.
They were good.
And the Draftniks have them taking the edge rusher from Boston College who skipped the bowl game against Nebraska,
Yep.
Mhm.
Donovan Ezeruaku. And I don't want that. Like,
Oh, really?
I don't. Washington needs pass rush. They definitely need pass rush. But more than that, they need run defense. This team was so bad against the run last year.
Mhm.
It is what kept them from getting to the Super Bowl. To be 100% honest,
Probably.
Yeah.
not stopping the run is what prevented them from being the champions of the NFC. And the thing that I want them to do is get Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle from Ole Miss, because like I think that guy can be a space eater. He can also add something in the pass rush, but you need like Payne in the middle is really good, but he's not getting any younger.
Mm-mm.
And you need to pair him with someone who can stop the run. And like I think you can put Walter Nolan in one of those 3-4 defensive end spots and add something to that run defense. I don't know that getting a Ezeraku or the other one that's being floated out there is James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee, who I absolutely love. I thought at the beginning of the season he would be in line to perhaps be the number one pick.
We talked about it.
He didn't quite produce at that level to be considered, but his measurables are insane.
Yeah, he's an athlete.
I don't want Washington to go edge rusher. I want interior defense. I want them to shore up the run defense. So I'm hoping for a defensive tackle pick. And as far as I'm concerned, the guy who will still be on the board that will be really good is Walter Nolan. And after that, like, I don't know. I mean, if he somehow gets picked before that, I don't know. I maybe they can address that later. Like, they're not getting Mason Graham. He's going to go way too early. And the guys below Nolan, like,
it's a fall off.
Yeah. After there's Mason Graham, Derek Harmon, and Walter Nolan, who are like first round graded defensive tackles. Then you get to the second defensive tackle for Michigan, Kenneth Grant. And then like
Ty Robinson.
But Ty Robinson is like, he's projected the 11th best defensive tackle in the draft.
Yeah,
I think he's got a huge upside. And if they could steal him, somewhere in the second or third round, that would be amazing to see one of my favorite Nebraska football players play for my team. But I want interior defensive line. That's where I want them to go.
Yeah. The Rams, they have Josh Connerly Jr., offensive tackle out of Oregon, mocked in a lot of drafts to them. They also have Josh Simmons from Ohio State, another offensive tackle to him. But Rams secondary, man, we have had some struggles these past few years. I mean, for as good of a young defensive line that we have brewing, our secondary is a big fall off. And that's why I would love Maxwell Hairston. He ran a 4.28 at the combine. He's a very fast cornerback, and I think he could patrol the secondary pretty good for us. The other guy down the board, and I think it's a player, I don't even know if he's going to fall anymore because he's been rising so much in the draft, and he's a guy that reminds me a lot of the guy that he would be sitting behind, is Jackson Dart. I don't think he's going to fall down the board of the Rams, but he's the type of guy that you sit him behind Matthew Stafford for maybe a year, maybe 2-3 years, wait till Stafford leaves, and then he takes over the role, kind of how Jordan Love did. I would love that, but right now he is jumping up the boards. I don't think he's going to fall all the way down to 26, but if he did, I would love the Rams to take him, but I think we got to go secondary, but they'll probably find a way to take an offensive tackle.
Yeah, it like the Rams are interesting because of the quarterback situation of like how much longer does Stafford have, what's left in the tank there. And like the latest mock that I saw has Jackson Dart going to Pittsburgh, which would be very interesting at 21. Like, what happens? Do they get Aaron Rodgers, or do they just say
throw him out there?
We're going to draft Jackson Dart, Aaron Rodgers take a hike? I don't know. That's really interesting. There are several situations that are fun to talk about, and we'll get to some of these later. But I think the New York Giants have the most interesting spot in this draft.
We talked about before the show. Yeah.
We're going to talk about, some of the more interesting situations tomorrow. That's the plan for our draft coverage tomorrow, is who has the most interesting spot in the first round of the draft. So be sure to tune in tomorrow when we get to some of those. The only thing we got on the night shift was Tommy saying he wants Shedeur for the Cowboys because he's heard rumors of Shedeur falling. There's also rumors out there that Cleveland might take Shedeur at number 2.
Wouldn't surprise me.
take that all with a grain of salt, but it's going to be fun when we finally get there on Thursday for the first round of the draft. If you missed that segment, talking about who we want for our favorite teams in the NFL draft, you can check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhour1620. And it was brought to you by Controlled Comfort Heating and Air. Look, I think we're done with the cold weather now. Don't quote me on that. I'm not Josh Peterson. I'm not saying anything for sure, but it certainly looks like we're trending towards the summer weather now. Maybe you're going to turn on your AC for the first time this week. Are you ready for that? Do you know if it's going to even turn on? If you have questions, you need to get Controlled Comfort out to service your HVAC unit. Be ready. Don't flip that switch and hear the grinding noise and go, uh-oh, it's hot in the house. Get them out. They'll service it. They'll give you the peace of mind and have you ready for the warm weather that's right around the corner. Check them out at controlledcomfort.com. Hey, everybody, it's John Schreiner here for Paul Davis Restoration. Had some big storms roll through the area, not necessarily in the Omaha area proper, but they were right on the edges. And that was just a harbinger of the spring to come. Storms are on their way. And if you got questions about the integrity of your home as it pertains to water damage, maybe you've had some in the past and you need to get that fixed up, well, Paul Davis is the place for you. They're going to fix your home and get it back to the state that it was before you ever had any damage. Or if you're worried that your basement's just been a little bit too moist in recent years and there might be a breakthrough coming, get Paul Davis out. They will have a look and get you fixed up and ready for all the storms that are on the way this spring and summer. Call them at 402-553-0373 and get that restoration project underway today. Oh yeah, it's that Dirty Heads time of night.
Tornado, I see you coming around. Don't let go, you know I'm holding
Just let it get in your blood.
People shouldn't change like the weatherman. People shouldn't change if they in the city.
It's a head bobber, man. Dirty Heads gets it done.
So let me be your oxygen. Please don't go. I will stay when everyone's
All right.
leaving and you feel it.
John
We do it
Zedman.
every night. Just had to listen to my jam for a little bit, Brody. Chill. Social media soundbite brought to you by Bellevue University. Head over to bellevue.edu and become a Bruin today. Brody, you
What's going
selected our
on?
social media soundbite for the evening. What do you got for us?
Well, there's a famous guy. He is famously now in LA, and famously the people
Like UCLA.
yeah, and
You don't know
Just like
anything
the
about
school.
it.
hey, I mean the guy that we're gonna be listening to also shares the name of the guy that went to UCLA.
That joke is never going to get old, by the way. Like, we are going to do the we're in Los Angeles if you don't know much about us. I'm never going to stop using it.
Forever.
Ever.
Yeah, forever.
Nico Harrison had some thoughts on Luka Doncic getting traded, and he claimed he didn't know some stuff when he traded him. They were not able to do that. They lost in the playing games. At one point during midseason, they were a shoo-in for the playoffs. It was basically a lock. And then guess what? Nico Harrison decided to do? Trade arguably one of the best players in the
He's the
entire
best
NBA.
young player in the league,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I don't think I've seen more hate for a GM or somebody in a front office than Nico Harrison the past 2 months.
Here's what I'll say to you, Nico Harrison, because I know you're listening. Nico, big fan of the After Hours Lounge.
For sure.
Nico, if you're listening, call in 402-951-1620. I'll give you some advice. It's not a good idea if you're in a position of leadership to say, I didn't know this was so important, because it's your job to know those things. If you didn't know that the player you're about to trade was going to create a backlash within your fan base, you shouldn't have that job, because you obviously don't have a pulse of your fan base. And let's not get this twisted. As a general manager of a professional franchise, not only are you responsible for putting a product on the field that includes winning, or the court in this case, you're also responsible for putting butts in the seats. Part of your duties as assigned is to create fan engagement. You are the general manager. That means you manage everything. You manage the entire operation, from the players that you have on your roster, to the game day atmosphere, to fan engagement, to public perception of your team. And if you don't know, if you don't have the knowledge of what your fan base wants, desires, and cares about, then, my friend, you're not doing your job, and you don't deserve to have it. You have done a poor job as a general manager, and you have just admitted that to the world. I can't believe it.
Also, to say my piece on this, to hear him go off and say, well, I don't understand why people wouldn't be excited for Anthony Davis, chronically injured, Klay Thompson, old and fairly
Chronically injured.
not the same since his ACL tear, Kyrie Irving, nut job, old, still has quite a bit left in the tank.
Yeah.
PJ Washington, who gives a crap, and didn't even mention the fact that they have Derek Lively. Probably
He did mention
He did
Lively.
mention Lively.
Oh, he did. Okay, good. Then I'm glad you mentioned Derek Lively, because he's probably the number 2 player on your franchise who your fans are the most excited to
Mhm.
watch develop because he has an exciting play style and he's young.
It's just crazy. I would love to know the conversations that went on between Nico Harrison and Palinka when they were deciding what was going to go on, and how it came to that point where it was, you know what, Luca, you're packing your bags, you're going to LA, because how not even a year ago they were playing in the finals.
Yep.
The finals.
To find out in that in-depth interview that Luca did over the weekend that the minute he got off that phone call, he was like, number one, is this a prank? He's like, it is April Fool's Day. This could easily be a prank. Like, oh no, it's not a prank. And he literally took his phone, threw it at the wall, and shattered it because that is how much he loved being a Dallas Maverick.
It just, honestly, man, it is malpractice to even admit that. To say you didn't know that your fans were going to care that you were trading away their favorite player since Dirk Nowitzki. Like, what are we talking about? That is insane. That is just a startling admission. I'm still in shock that someone would openly say that. Like, you have to explain it a different way. You have to say something else. You have to say, like, well, we just didn't think that we had the pieces to compete this year, so we were going to get what we could out of our biggest asset. We're going to rebuild for the future. We know it was unpopular, but for the long-term health, you could have said anything else.
Literally what John just said is probably a million times better than what he said. It felt like he went out onto that stage. This is in a press conference. He's sitting there and he's just he's turned his head and he's looking at everybody. And it kind of just feels like this is a forced answer and he does not know what he's talking about. It also kind of feels like, do we think Mark Cuban gets rid of him this offseason?
He can't. You know that, right?
Why?
Cuban's not the owner anymore.
Mark Cuban doesn't have a controlling stake within the Dallas
True.
Mavericks.
Still.
He doesn't make those decisions anymore.
Dude, they get rid of him.
That is a baffling soundbite.
The McMahon back and forth between him and Harrison is really where this all comes back to. When McMahon pressed him and said, hey, you have said, like, literally at the start of this season that, like, 25, 26, 27, those can't be rebuilding years. Those are your years that you are, like, championship or bust. What changed? And he was like, well, defense. Defense wins championships. So you got rid of Luka to bring in Anthony Davis, which, to be fair,
he is
on one side of the floor, man, he can score around the basket. So he's still 7 foot whatever tall. But on the defensive side of the floor, I get that. Shore that up. That's great. And then you get Max Christie, who doesn't score nearly as much as Luka did. So you basically traded an inside, like, defensive presence for 20 to 30% of your team score.
Yeah.
It's still baffling.
Nico Harrison tried to make himself look better, and he didn't. He made himself look worse.
Malpractice. That's all that is. It's malpractice.
All right, that's our social media soundbite for the night. If you missed it, you can check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It's brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. You need help with social media? Are you not getting enough leads on your website? Do you even have a website? Are you not showing up in Google? Do you even know what Google is? You need answers to these questions and more. You need to get to pixelfiremarketing.com. They'll help you with your social media presence, engage your ideal client, and help you bring in more business. Check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more information.
Hey there, folks. Dan Campanen here for AX Plumbing. If you're sick of standing around and watching that drain slowly go down, or maybe you're a business owner, those urinals just keep backing up, get a solution from a local plumber. Check out AX Plumbing at axpservice.com today and let AX Plumbing come leave your home or business cleaner than they found it.
Well, you know what happens when Jimmy's gone? We talk too much. And that's where we are tonight, rolling through second hour. And second hour is brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Over a decade of being the number one roofer in Omaha. You got roof problems? You don't need to have them. You can check out pyramidroof.com and get yourself a free estimate. Young Brody Heidemann
Good evening.
has written Buy or Sell for the first time this week.
Yeah. Hey, no school on a Monday.
Yeah, that's
All
right.
the free time in the world.
Didn't feel bad about asking you to write them.
I mean, even if
And you know what I like to do when Jimmy's not here, right? Like if Dan's writing Buy or Sell, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I just say, Dan, write some questions.
Yep.
We'll answer them on the spot. This is the fun
First time.
part of Buy or Sell for me is when I don't know what's coming and we just have to bang off the top of our head.
Oh, yeah.
So Brody Heidemann, what do you got for question one in Buy or Sell?
We are T-minus 3 days away from the NFL draft, and there's yet to be a single first-round trade. This is the first time since I think it was 1985 that this is the closest we've gotten, and there hasn't been a single trade. Buy or sell, a team will trade up.
I buy this because I have an idea of one team that I think is going to trade back because I think the player that they really want and should take won't be there, and that's the New York Giants. We'll talk more about this tomorrow, but I think if it's me and I'm in the chair for the Giants, please let me have that job. If Travis Hunter's not there, Giants already have a great defensive line. Dexter Lawrence is a madman. I'm trading back. I think if Travis Hunter is there at 3, you take Travis Hunter. If he's not, if the Browns take him, somebody who wants Shedeur Sanders or wants Abdul Carter will pay you a premium to go up and get him. And I think if you're the Giants, look, you're awful. You're the New York Giants.
True.
You need as much as you can get. Stack some draft capital. Maybe you get a player out of it. Go back. That I think there will be a trade, and I think it's going to come early.
I would disagree.
Ooh.
I don't think that we're going to see anyone trade into or out of the top 5. There'll be some scrapping in 6 to 10, but I don't think anyone trades out of the top 5.
Yeah, I think it's a shoo-in that there's going to be some type of trade. It's crazy that it's been this long and there hasn't been a single one. But I think that with any draft, there's going to be some trades, which would be honestly very surprising if there wasn't. But there's going to be some team that sees a guy they like, trades up 2 to 3 spots and takes him 10, 13 overall, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me because the top 5 is Jacksonville. They're mocked to want Mason Graham. Great choice. Will Campbell to the New England Patriots at 4. Great choice for them. And then Abdul Carter going 3. I think if you're New York, you can't pass up that opportunity to get a generational talent like him. And then Hunter at 2 and Cam Ward at 1.
I like it.
The only team that I could see wanting to get out of the top 5 because of the burden of choice would be Cleveland.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, it's Cleveland.
They seem dumb enough to be like, we can't handle being the second pick.
I mean,
they never handled it well when they were number 1 either. So
true. JT won for the first time in 3 years yesterday at RBC. The guy who hasn't won yet, Scotty Scheffler. Buy or sell. Scotty Scheffler will pick up a win before the summer.
So you're saying before June 21st?
Yeah, I'd say the PGA, I think it's the Open because the championship's only, I think it's like a month away, which is only, it's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks away from the championship. The Open is about a month to 2 months away.
It's interesting how we grade guys on a curve in golf, right? Like Scotty was so dominant and so good last year that his performance at the Masters, while by any other player's standards was like, oh, that's a good finish.
Yeah, it's 4th place.
But the way it looked, you're like, ooh, that doesn't look like Scotty of old. So, yeah, I think he's going to win. And he might not be as dominant this year as he's been over the past couple. I think he'll win. It's funny how we look at this. Like, if it, for instance, like Justin Thomas winning, everyone's like, oh, look, Justin Thomas won.
Mhm.
How about that? But like, he's been barely relevant for years.
Yeah. So if I'm looking at I'm just going off the 4 majors. Quail Hollow is a course that plays pretty well
Yeah.
to the way that Scotty would want to play the game. It's a little bit shorter. It's a little bit more wide open,
Mhm.
and you can kind of rely on your shot selection in the way that you either draw or fade the ball off the tee in the way that you would generally the U.S. Open this year. Dumb.
Yeah.
So dumb.
Oakmont's interesting.
If he doesn't win at the PGA Championship, there's a good chance he'll win Oakmont this year. Oakmont is just it's a lovely course. It is.
Come on, Dan.
It is a championship graded course, but it's the worst out of all 4 of them.
Yeah.
It does not play like a championship level course when you get golfers on there, which someone's going to be gunning for the course record that weekend. It's going to be funny.
Depends on the weather conditions too. But
Yeah. I mean, you are in Pennsylvania.
yeah, I don't know. I think the tournament he won last year, the Memorial, which is May 29th through June 1st, that's the tournament I think he could go out and win. I don't know. I think the PGA Championship could be the major he gets this year if he gets a major this year. But I don't know. For some reason, just he hasn't been playing to his best ability. I think that it's crazy that cutting.
Yeah.
What was it? What was he cutting? I can't remember what he was cutting. He was making something with Meredith, and that's what he cut his hand, and he was out for
Oh yeah, that's
whatever.
right.
And it sounds stupid, but I think it's the slightest little thing is kind of holding him back right now. And maybe it's something else, but I think that
But Scotty, even not at his best, can still beat the field.
well, exactly, and that's what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, and don't be surprised too if we do get a late Scotty win, because
Oh.
Royal Portrush is one of those places that someone just comes out of nowhere
Yeah, true.
and will just bomb through that course.
Nebraska may actually be having a spring game. Sort of. They're running a scrimmage to help decide the 105. Buy or sell, this is better than a spring game.
No, I sell this all the way. It's not better. Yeah, they let fans come in and watch and do that, but it's not the same because it's not what you would think of as a spring game with all the festivities
Yeah.
and an actual like competitive football game and it being on TV and 75 to 80,000 and
Mhm.
like it's not better. It's something, but it's a watered down version of something that was really fun. So
Yeah.
no, I sell that. It's not better.
Dan?
It's not better. It'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be fun to see some full contact football. But for what we're getting, it's not going to be better than a spring game. I think it'll draw a bit more fan interest to see some of the guys who we know for sure aren't going to be on the roster come fall time. That'll be the fun part about it. But
Yeah.
other than that,
I think it's going to be interesting to see with the 105-man roster how they're kind of every single practice, every single scrimmage is trying to decide who's going to make it and who's going to end up getting cut come the fall time. So this will be interesting to see those guys out on that stage knowing they have something to play for. Obviously, this is happening every single week in the scrimmages they have, but out in front of the fans, if there is, well, I don't know. I said 15,000, which I feel like is being generous, but what number do you think will end up going?
we'll end up at the
I
spring
said
game?
15,000. I think 15,000 at this.
That seems accurate.
I think that with all the,
So
cluster
they
games.
released the schedule for this thing. Here's what's going to happen.
It's a hodgepodge.
Yeah, true.
A 7-on-7 women's flag football game, Midland versus the UNL All-Stars. That's at 1:00. And then starting at 2, they're going to do the Big Red Kickoff, which is the specialist competitions. Then they're going to have a 1-quarter scrimmage. Then they'll have a strongest man. Then they'll have a 2nd quarter scrimmage. Then a quarterback shootout. Then a halftime John Cook roping roundup.
Yeah.
Then a 3rd quarter scrimmage. then Husker Hands, which is an agility and skills showdown, then a media challenge, whatever that means, a fourth quarter scrimmage, then they'll do the fastest man and a wing eating contest.
It's a whole bunch of everything, but it's a
carnival.
Yeah, it basically is.
Is it too late for me to sign up for the wing eating contest?
It's
though?
not. I don't know.
It's from
It's probably
Wingstop.
players only.
Wingstop Wings, sponsored by Wingstop.
It's probably among players.
Yeah,
Let me tell you, I'm taking
linemen.
I'm taking some of these linemen out.
No, those linemen will. I bet they eat more than some. Not competitive eaters, but they will go out there and eat.
This is not better than a spring game, Brody. It's not.
No, I don't think it's better than a spring game.
Look at
I think
look at
the-
this right here, Brody. Tell me, what do you think my record is in an hour for chicken wings? 1 hour. I get 1 hour unlimited chicken wings. What do you think my record is?
5.
54.
Actually, surprisingly close. It's 57.
Wow. I mean, 1 per minute.
I
I
don't want
slept for
to
a
eat
full day
57
after
of
that.
anything. Like nothing.
What? Yeah. What? Wait. What? So what was the spice level? First off,
Buffalo.
just normal buffalo.
Classic Buffalo.
Okay. How much liquid did you have with you? Did you have water, or what was your liquid of choice? Milk?
Beer.
Okay, that makes it a little bit different.
I'm an adult.
This has gone to a place. I don't know what's happening on the After Hours Lounge.
It's something that me and a couple of guys at the bar that's right down the street from me, that's what we do for the first Husker game every year.
We're gonna close out by yourself.
One more.
Okay, you got one more?
One more.
All right.
Jet Tamala committed to Iowa State
Yep.
on Friday. On3 now has him listed as a top 10 quarterback in the class of 2026.
Yep.
Buy or sell, Nebraska is missing out on yet another in-state quarterback and instead going with a legacy.
I'm happy for Jet Samala. I think he's a good player. I like him as a player, and Iowa State's getting a pretty good one. But like Nebraska's already got a 26 quarterback in the class. Like, and again, with the 105-man roster limits, you can't just say like, oh, he's an in-state guy, we got to have him. Like, you have to be more choosy.
True.
And like, Tamala's good, but they want Dayton Raiola. Like, that's the guy they want.
Mhm.
That's the guy they have identified as the next guy. So that's who they got. And like, you can't tell Dayton Raiola like, oh, hey, hold on.
True.
Like, this guy from Nebraska is getting all these offers and it's bad optics if we don't get him. So we're going to go with him instead. No, you can't do that. Like, this is good for Jet Samala. It's not bad for Nebraska. Like, it is what it is, man. This is the era of college football that we're in, and roster limits are what they are. So you just can't. There's not room for everybody, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'll echo that same sentiment because I wholeheartedly agree with you, John. I don't think it reflects poorly upon Nebraska. And I'll even take it one step further. I'll go back to Matt Rule's comments in that press conference on Thursday and say, we want to recruit the in-state guys. We understand that we have a very hot recruiting base here in Nebraska.
True.
But the last thing I want to do is bring a Nebraska kid here and have him feel worse about the program than he
Yeah.
did his entire time growing up.
And look, the door's never closed in the portal era.
Very
Yeah.
true.
You know, you don't know what's going to happen with the Raiola brothers. You don't know what's going to happen with the future of the quarterback position at Nebraska. You don't know how those underclassmen are going to pan out. And like, maybe there's a time in the future where Jet Tamala wants out of the Big 12 and wants to go run with the big dogs, and Nebraska's got a spot for him then. You don't ever close the door. Like, recruiting's never over now. Just because somebody committed to a school, it doesn't mean that you're never going to see that player again. It might, but it also might not.
Yeah. And we've got Raiola, and then we've got Latif, and then we've got another Raiola. Like,
Yeah. I think
there's enough on the back end for Nebraska right now to say we don't need to go out and try and recruit every single person.
Yeah, there's a quarterback committing here in a few weeks, hopefully to Nebraska, that could help it. But I don't know. If Tamala goes out and he balls out at Iowa State, good for him. He's I think he could be a very good fit in that offense. But I think it just looks bad for Nebraska in a way that it's another miss. But also, again, like you guys said, the quarterback room, you can't take another guy. You can't take him. You can't tell Dayton Raiola, hey, man, I know you're coming in, but we also got this guy. It's one of those situations that he's locked in there, and obviously,
And look, he had like Dayton Raiola has stayed committed to Nebraska and done peer
Yeah.
recruiting and tried to get other guys into the
Totally.
class with him. Like that's a guy who's done work for you, and like, you owe it to him now to stay committed to him as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it'll just be interesting to see. Again, next few weeks, there is a possible quarterback commitment, class of 27, Nebraska could be getting. That would change a lot, but it'll be interesting.
Yep. Good job, Brody.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thanks for the buy or sell questions. That's buy or sell. And if you missed it, you can check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. Brought to you by Jerry Ryan, of course. Jerry Ryan, the premier suit buying experience in the Midwest. Listen, if you got a wedding coming up this spring, yours or someone else's, don't rent. Get to Jerry Ryan. Get yourself fitted for that suit. You're going to look like $1 million and you get to keep it at the end for future use. You don't want to give it back at the end when you feel so good wearing it. Keep it. Get yourself fitted by Moan Near the Tailor. He's going to put you in a suit that fits you appropriately, and you are not going to ever want to go anywhere else after you get the premier suit buying experience in the Midwest. Let John, Dan, and the crew get your suit game right and tell them After Hours sent you. Jerry Ryan has been dressing Omaha for over 50 years.
My soul rise up, ting, ting, like glitter.
Hey everyone, Dan Campanen here for Williams Law. Let Bob Williams defend you or your loved ones if you've been wrongfully accused. Maybe you're facing a DUI charge and have questions. Maybe your son's been hanging out with the wrong crowd and doing donuts in the Home Depot parking lot off of 144th and Maple and got caught up in that mess. Let Williams Law give you a free, no obligation legal consultation today. Call 402-522-6317 and get the answers you are looking for, or check out williamslawllc.com tonight.
I remember when.
Oh, I do remember when.
When I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place.
Why'd I get married in Italy to that Kardashian?
Oh, CeeLo. All right, we're doing a little audible here because we're short on time. So we're gonna do something that Jimmy doesn't like us to do.
Oh,
Not politics. No, we're not doing that. It's NHL talk with Dan and John, two guys who like the hockey game, the grand old hockey game. We are watching Washington and Montreal. You guys know by now that the Caps are my team. Big fan of the Washington Capitals. They are currently leading Montreal 2-0. Ovi's got a playoff goal. Gosh, it would be so cool to see the Caps hoist the trophy in the year that Ovi broke the record. That would be just... that would be really healthy for my sports fandom. Because I don't have a lot to go on.
Don't put the cart before the horse, John. Your Washington Commanders.
That was also very healthy for my sports fandom.
Doesn't seem like it's going to be a flash in the pan.
It seems like it could go well for a number of years. Yes, true. The Bulls have done nothing since the mid-90s to write home about. And we all know about the Chicago White Sox, which is it's not really worth talking about. Baseball season,
it's canceled.
It was canceled before it started. But we've got some really, really intriguing series in these playoffs. We were just talking about Minnesota and Vegas, who played a thoroughly entertaining game last night. Vegas is very tough, and Minnesota is like young and like on the verge of being out of control. Like they're just the Wild is an appropriate name for that team.
And it's crazy too, because they have the man on the bench right now. The Flower is just sitting on the bench and is like, I was supposed to be a calming influence, a calming veteran presence for this team. And he's kind of just leaned into the fact that he's like, I've seen so much more hockey than all of these kids have.
Yeah. And
I'm going to let him go crazy.
The other thing is like Kirill Kaprizov. There are certain players who I get really excited to watch, like Nathan McKinnon from Colorado, Connor McJesus, Edmonton, obviously Ovechkin, Toronto. I can't say the name right now.
Austin
Matthews in Toronto. Kirill Kaprizov is joining that list of guys that I am just like a big fan of watching their game because he's so nifty with the puck. Like one of the assists he had last night was mind blowing. He's got two defenders in front of him, like dangles, splits them, flips a pinpoint pass to the slot for a tap in, and you just like jaw agape. Like there's nothing you can say. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite players to watch in the league. The games last night, Hurricanes stomped the Devils. The Maple Leafs. How about the Maple Leafs getting a series opening win? A team that you said you wanted to see hoist the cup this year.
Yeah, just original six team. You always want to see at least one team from Canada push it all the way to the limit, make it to the final, and hopefully win just in general, because it's good for the health of the sport that every so often Canada is back in it and they can actually win a series. Still Toronto, and they'll find a way to mess their pants and just ruin this series for their team.
And I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. I was a little surprised how chippy that game between the Maple Leafs and the Sens was. Like, I understand two Canadian teams, they don't like each other.
Mm-hmm.
But for a playoff game, it was kind of brutal. Like, they were going at each other. And yeah, like I know the intensity gets ratcheted up when it comes to the Stanley Cup playoffs. But man, it was like excessive, the level of physicality in that game, which made it entirely fun to watch.
Oh yeah. And so it doesn't surprise me all that much, because especially for guys like Austin Matthews, who got drafted to the Leafs and before McDavid came around, he was touted as like, this is the guy.
Yeah.
this is going to be the face of the NHL. And then to basically put him on a team that always shoots themselves in the leg every year and something just terrible happens, it's nice that they're starting to breathe in some of the success. And the great thing about the Maple Leafs right now, if I can stick with that, is Austin Matthews is their centerpiece. And everybody knows that. So he's begun to delegate to like Ekman Larson and Mitch Marner, who was the star of the game.
Oh,
the other
Mitch
night.
Marner's great too.
He got
He's fun.
He got the top 3 star right there.
The other one, like I'm very excited for obvious reasons. I just told you I love watching Connor McDavid play. The 2 late series tonight, you get Avalanche Stars with Nathan McKinnon, and then you get Oilers Kings with Connor McDavid. Like these matchups, like honestly, the matchups this year are fantastic. Like the teams that are playing against each other and the styles that they play, like this first round could be so much fun. Like I think back to 2 years ago when we got that second round matchup between Edmonton and Calgary.
Oh yeah.
That series was fire. And then Edmonton played Colorado in the semifinal, and that series was fire. Like I'm just hoping we get some of that again this year. Last year's playoffs, I felt like they were just a little bit lackluster because the grindy teams won so many of the series. The teams that played ugly and like wanted to muck it up and didn't play that beautiful free-flowing style. I'm hoping we get those teams out of round 1 and we get some of those great, like high-scoring, free-flowing games that just make it so fun and make the Stanley Cup great.
That's why Jersey and Carolina playing against each other. Those are 2 teams that did not play at all that well in the regular season. And now Carolina is one team to look out for just a little bit. I think they'll make it to round 2. They could be the team that actually surprises everyone because they've got quite a bit of young talent and they play a wild, free-flowing style of hockey with Taylor Hall kind of being their facilitator in that middle spot. Ooh, they could be the ones that actually cause some problems. Also, not to not mention, yes, Barry Kotkaniemi. Mainly because I can say that name. Shout out Duolingo.
We did this a couple of weeks ago, but after the first few games of the Stanley Cup playoffs, are you changing your prediction for who wins?
No, I'm going to ride with my terrible Toronto Maple Leafs pick.
And I
Team of Destiny.
I still think the Caps, baby. I think it's their year. I think this is the year we get the second cup for Ovi, and he might ride off into the sunset afterwards. So it'll be fun to watch. And I'll try to convince Jimmy when he gets back to
Good luck.
to let us have at least a segment on NHL for our hockey fans out there.
Dan and John's Hockey Corner.
Yeah.
Dan and John's
It's like
Hockey
the golf
Corner. I
one.
like that.
We did golf
Yeah.
one a while ago.
Yeah. I'll bring in some robes and some like old Hugh Hefner pipes and be like, oh,
All right.
Jimmy, go take a walk in the hallway.
We got to get to a break so we can come back and give you our trash takes of the night. We will push worst picks of the last 5 years to tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow if you wanted to hear about the worst picks for every team in the NFL draft in the last 5 years. If you missed that segment, it was brought to you by AX Plumbing, and you can check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. AX Plumbing, they do it all. Home or residential. Check out axpservice.com for your plumbing, your water heater, your gas piping, your backflow prevention, whatever it may be. If it's got to do with plumbing, AX Plumbing has you covered. Check them out at axpservice.com today. Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here once again for Cunningham's Pub and Grill. You know, before Cunningham's became a sponsor of the show, I had eaten there a couple of times, but I kind of always got the same thing. But since they became a sponsor, I have expanded my exploration of the menu. And I'll tell you what, man, it has quickly become one of my favorite places to eat in the city of Omaha. Great sports on TV, great beers on tap. And yes, the menu is fabulous. Best wings in town, great sandwiches. The burgers, always on point. And those specials, my goodness, when they have the fried chicken on the menu, you better get your behind into one of the 2 great locations to try that delicious spicy gravy that they put on the fried chicken. And our next show on Wednesday, Wing Wednesday, you can win a $25 gift card to Cunningham's and enjoy some of that great food and those excellent beverages for the price of on the house. All you got to do is retweet that gift. That's coming your way on Wednesday for Wing Wednesday with Cunningham's, proud sponsor of the After Hours Lounge. All right, it's closing time. We're going to give you our quick trash takes before we get you out of here on this Monday evening. With big thanks to everybody who joined in the night shift, Captain and Tommy. We appreciate you. We hope you'll be back with us on Wednesday for Wing Wednesday. And as always, the second hour is brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. They've been the best in Omaha for over a decade. You don't get that honor for being subpar. If you got roof problems, check out pyramidroof.com. Trash takes of the night. I will get us started. We're going to go quickly through these. I'm going to use my trash take tonight to give congratulations to a friend, a coworker, a colleague. one Josh Peterson. He finished the Boston Marathon in under 3 hours today. I know this has been a huge goal of his. So all congratulations to Josh. We're thinking of you, buddy. And man, I hope you enjoyed it. And what an accomplishment. That is truly, truly tremendous to not only qualify, but then finish the marathon in under 3 hours. Just a great achievement.
Dan, or do you want me to go first?
Well, John sort of took my trash take of the night, but I too am going to go to a man who is in Boston today who had a very smart play. Walker Buehler had an early start today for the Boston Red Sox. And instead of coming in from out of town and trying to fight Boston Marathon traffic and figure out exactly which streets are shut down, he said, screw it. I'm going to take my family to a hotel and stay there before my 10 a.m. start today.
I mean, it's smart. I'm going to keep this one quick.
That's a good move.
This draft class is absolutely terrible. If I'm a team, I'm looking forward to next year. This draft class is more of a, hey, we have a first round pick. Let's take the best guy available and get on to next year, because there's going to be some guys next year that are going to be a lot better than the guys on the board this year.
And there are some pieces, but
still
not at the big spots,
No.
I think, is what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree, Brody. All right. If you missed any of the show tonight, you can always check it out at soundcloud.com/after hours. And it was brought to you by Allo Fiber. If your internet's slow, it doesn't have to be. You can check out Allo Fiber to get your internet speeds up and reliable. If you got problems, you don't need them. Allo Fiber is going to fix all of your business home internet issues. Visit allobusiness.com if you got a business and you need your internet speeds up, and you can learn more right there. That's going to do it for the After Hours Lounge tonight. For Brody Heidemann and Dan Campanen, I'm John Schreiner. Happy National Kindergarten Day. We all know the seasonal storms are coming, and they affect your homes in multiple ways. It could be water in your basement, and if that's the case, if that's something you're worried about, you need to get Paul Davis out to check you out and get those issues shored up before we hit the big storm season of spring and summer here in Nebraska. They can help you with mold, and they can restore your home the way it was before it was ever damaged. Call Paul Davis Restoration today at 402-553-0373.